Autobell is often seen as a fixer to help speed up random battles. So let's beat the entirety of Nocturne with it. Any progress through an area will be on a hard difficulty, but to reduce grinding, I'll be farming XP and buying items on Merciful when needed. All memory will be turned off unless necessary, so I'm stuck with default attacks on the first enemy. The only actions apart from all Baal you can use during battle are default attacking a target, passing the turn, recruiting and retreating, which means no healing skills, no buffs or debuffs, no damaging skills, and no items in battle. Welcome to hell. The tutorial fights took a while since you need to get lucky and hope none of your attacks miss an enemy gets a crit. For Forneus, no one on your party should have a weakness to ice, and you just gotta hope Forneus doesn't focus the demi-fiend down. Since the mall network locks us in once we start, it's best to prep a bit. We can fuse Jack Frost now, which has Dark Might as a skill, guaranteeing crits on a new moon. Having at least 1 or 2 allies with Dark Might before entering the mall network will make it significantly easier. Spectre tends to use fire moves, and if you don't kill at least 2 before they merge back, Foul Havoc will do a significant portion of your health. Okay, now that we're in Ginza, Jack Fox will show up, so that'll be easier to get a full team of Dark Might. We can also get counter from Caesar and Mizuchi at level 15 to 17, which gives us a chance of attacking after being hit by a physical move. But both of these skills will be set for whatever fight comes next.
Charge me with all your strength! Your horns cannot pierce my soul! Impressive! But the moment of truth is beyond your grasp. I alone can discern it!
Never mind then. Looks like we'll have to grind for more Zochi. Since the demi-fiend can't learn Dark Might, you can grab Kabuto from the underpass shop and learn Might at level 29. And you can also learn Counter from Melgarret at level 20. The strat that beat Matador for me was over-leveling to 31 and sending the whole party to crit encounter. I heavily boosted Zochi and Demi-Fiend and strength on all of the other demons. Both Matador and Thor, so just how important it is to remove your foes' turns by nullifying their attacks.
Hey, go easy on the opening salvo rider. Wouldn't want to bump him off on accident. Maybe it's time you started using the sharp end of your sword. Seems like our demi-fiend's no push-up. Go tell.
Yellow base is pretty easy, but set up to resist the main elements and hope to dodge dark attacks.
Suck on some fumes! You have fine excuse for a demon!
Since Hellbiker leads most turns with Hellexhaust, my plan was to repel it and negate all of his turns, then so I can't outlast that many attacks from Hellportal. And for Daisoujou, let's get lucky in avoiding the insta-kill moves. Mizuchi can be quite difficult since it starts out with heavy hitting ice moves and has Mirage, which confuses the party wasting turns and has a chance to return them to stock, but overall not too difficult once you build up resistances. Most wild battles aren't of note, since I'm overleveled and can just use that stoma to move them, so occasionally a few still happen. And if they have a immunity to physical, I'm screwed.
Attack me, you coward! I will not allow defending!
I shouldn't have activated the riders this early, so let's prep for them.
Are you sure?
A few good passives are attack all from Hellbiker at level 44,
Oh?
retaliate from Satana at the same, and endure from both Retivator and Ahriman at level 48. For White Rider, the virtues constantly debuff you with the Kunda or Heal White Rider. And White Rider's God Bow will one-shot you if you don't know to light. As far as prominence, easily killing due to your lower defenses.
Your madness is my joy! Shall we begin?
So Red White Rider is much tougher, since Terror Blade nearly 2 shots, even with physical resistance. The powers constantly use Tau Kaza to boost the enemy's physical attacks. So you only need to survive for about 3 to 4 turns, so you can just get lucky and hope they don't kill. In the Obelisk, the only fate sister that poses a threat to us is Laxias, since we can't rely on crits during the initial fights. In her tendency to cast threats at turn which will reflect any physical attacks when active. You can easily beat this by just passing the turn whenever Texas comes up.
Death shall come for thee.
Now for the other 2 riders. First up, Black Rider. So Legions tend to use Tempest, which will well down your team. Black Rider has both Medigola and Medigolem, strong out mighty attacks that can't be blocked. So if you have a demon that knows Fizz, you'll usually skip Black Rider's turn and easily beat him.
Behold the land of the dead. It encroaches from before you and behind you. Beware, or it will engulf you in an instant.
And Pale Rider. So Lois has Stone Gaze, which if it inflicts stone, you'll die in one hit. They also have Devotate, which decreases all of your team's stats at once. And finally, Last Resort, which heals Pale Rider and does around half your health. If Pale Rider gets to act, it'll follow up the lowest stats infliction with an insta-kill move for just a strong AoE attack. Put simply, with your attack accuracy severely lowered, if you don't kill both floors and avoid most of the attacks each turn, you're in trouble. Girimehkala completely walls us. There's nothing we can do against it. It repels physical moves so we can't directly attack it. And it exclusively uses physical moves so we can't repel any attacks back. To still follow the spread of the silence, we'll have to use auto memory and some magic skills to get past it. Every skill is allowed in auto memory, but you must set it during the first few turns and repeat it throughout the fight. If a character is unable to cast a skill due to a status, you can reset it once they're able to again. Now back to Girimehkala. Girimehkala has a few status moves that will skip a demon's turn or return them to the start. And since I didn't plan to use magic during this run, I just went with whatever hit the most and had someone heal. So the main threat is running out of MP or Girimehkala targeting your healer. Now on to Amala Temple. Albion's pretty free and easy to beat. However, Axiel's Black Sun reduces the whole party to 1 HP, so it's best to bring Endure on everyone. Or maybe not, since you can just null most of the attacks.
I'm sure a man of your... strong. Color me impressed.
Counting on you!
Perhaps we underestimate. Rhino, this is your cue. Go, Rhino!
Ha!
And about now you should be able to easily know most attacks on your demons. Skadi is rather difficult since she absorbs fizz, and so the only way to beat her without all memory is repelling her Mizandine. With our current subjects, 9 Mizandine, we have to reflect before she uses Earthquake 3 times. I then realized that the damage from repel is based on the demon's original resistance. So I got a team of demons weak to force and gave them repel, reducing the needed amount to 6. Trumpeter is pretty easy despite the insta-death and full heal moves they have. And Cert provides a much needed variety in our attacks. Every default attack with him is fire type, allowing us to take down anything that knows physical.
Let us savor every minute of this orgy of the damned.
Matador and Metal are vulnerable to reflect physical, so we'll immediately have to use Cert against them.
Now, let us begin. I hope you don't die too easily.
As long as you know Dark and some other elements, Beelzebub is pretty easy. So now we'll start between 2 incredibly difficult fights. Mott and Metatron. Mott knows fire, heavily resists fizz, and can infinitely spam almighty attacks. Metatron has 5 times the health, similar to this, and has heavy hitting almighty attacks and debuffs, so the obvious choice is Metatron.
Face my judgment, accursed spirit!
There's no chance we'll beat Metatron without all memory. Due to Rido's innate field skill, he's the only one that can deal decent damage. The main issue with Rido is that levels much lower than a demon. Almost last in the turn order, easier to kill, and not customizable. I probably so far debuffer, but as long as you keep Rido alive, you should be fine. After that, we can finally add Pierce to everyone in the party, allowing them to ignore all resistances except repel. As long as Smart doesn't infinitely spam attacks or counter the demi-thing too much, you should easily beat them with Pierce. The other two fights are pretty straightforward, and we're to the final fights in the game where we decide our reason and face off against the other reasons. They are Ikawa,
A man who envisions a world of silence. Ahriman, god of the void, lends him strength.
Ikawa,
A young woman who values power above all else. The god Baal Avatar has descended upon her.
Ikawa,
A young man yearning to live in solitude. His strength comes from Noah, the wandering god.
and Ikawa.
To the one who bears our strength and hope, may you forever prevail.
First up is Ikawa, also known as Ahriman.
Amuse me with your strength, evil one, before eternal silence is upon us. If you do not heed my words, then I shall send you to hell. This is but a game. Physical attacks are forbidden.
Ahriman always leads off with physical attacks on forbidden, and doesn't change until enough damage has been done. So you have to wait until you've propelled enough attacks to actually start damaging him, and hope that you haven't taken too much damage for the second phase. During the second phase, he has both Matador and Apocalypse patrol nearly wipe your team, so the good thing is that both his normal attacks and tentacle are physical, so you can just repel him back. Let's continue. To close off the demi-thing's weaknesses, let's get Matador's. The only one in Bandou's shrine that's so fat is the Nocturne. They can fully buff themselves or can debilitate twice in a turn. They have a high crit rate physical attacks and strong or mighty attacks. So as long as you can null or absorb fire and reflect physical, you can use those debuffs against them. Next up is Ikawa, also known as Baal Avatar. They're pretty easy if you know both dark and light. Then Baal can't really hurt you. And even if the allies use Texacon, Matador slots the reflect back. And finally Ikawa, also known as Noah. Noah's regular attack is almighty instead of physical, and in the second phase they reflect all the cycling element which resists to almighty. On around that phase 3 in the second phase, Noah will use Domination, which will severely drain a single target's HP and heal Noah. If you drain all 12 the main elements, you won't need much healing to survive most of Noah's attacks. I thought that I could solo them with Cert. It would just take ages, but Domination comes out way too frequently for that to happen. And having one damage dealer creates a big target for Noah's normal attacks. Your best bet is to use all memory and whatever almighty pierce attacks you have. Kagutsuchi's flashlight and infinite light do way too much damage without buffs to your defense or buffs or debuffs to the attack. In the second phase they also tend to just spam the regular attack which will wipe you, but counters help deal with that. With how much Kagutsuchi uses infinite light, you'll need a decent healer, but overall not too bad with all memory. And there you have it, you can beat Nocturne with only 4 uses of auto memory. Never mind. Lucifer has the highest max HP possible in the game with around 65,000 and resists everything. The hard version I'm fighting also fully heals when you do 2/3 of its max HP. Lucifer's normal attack is almighty with a high crit rate to combo you to death. He has powerful mighty attacks with Matador and High King, and a luck-based move and evil, which can inflict stats or significantly reduce your HP, and the hard version even removes the buffs on your party. You'd think that using some of the cheaper spells like Trumpeter and Meteorama would be the plan to wait out the full heal, but Lucifer can easily remove all debuffs and severely damage your team. And the weaker healing just can't keep up. Hard Lucifer has a flaw in its code, but sometimes it doesn't full heal until way after 40,000 damage has been done. So the best bet is to rush him down, hoping he doesn't get the full heal off.
Well done. You've proven yourself with your awesome power.
All you who have lurked in darkness and waited for this day, hear me. The new Demon of Darkness has been born. The time has come. Together, let us march onward. To the final battle
where our true enemy awaits!
And with that I have completed the Trumpeter ending with all attacks and only 5 uses of auto memory. Feel free to look at all other media by me, or check out the playlist to see the raw footage of this one, in case you want to see anything I haven't covered.